The autumn rain drummed against the windows of the small coffee shop in Chelsea as Kate Middleton pulled her wool coat tighter around her shoulders. She had slipped away from Kensington Palace for a rare moment of privacy, something that had become increasingly precious since becoming the Princess of Wales. The bodyguards waited discreetly outside while she savored these few minutes of normalcy. She chose a corner table, away from the main flow of customers, and ordered a simple latte. The warmth of the cup between her hands was comforting as she watched the busy London street through rain-streaked glass. People hurried past with umbrellas and newspapers held over their heads, each lost in their own world, blissfully unaware that royalty sat just meters away. Kate's mind wandered to the events of the past few weeks. The children were growing so fast. George was becoming more confident in his royal duties. Charlotte was developing her own strong personality, and little Louis never failed to bring laughter to even the most formal occasions. William had been away on official duties, and she found herself reflecting on how much their lives had changed since those early days of marriage. A gentle voice interrupted her thoughts. "Excuse me, aren't you?" Kate looked up to see a woman in her 50s standing beside her table. She had kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Something about her face seemed familiar, though Kate couldn't immediately place her. The woman's expression shifted from uncertainty to recognition, then to something deeper, a warm smile that spoke of shared memories. "Your Royal Highness, I'm so sorry to disturb you. I'm Sarah Mitchell. I was one of the midwives at St. Mary's Hospital when Princess Charlotte was born." The recognition hit Kate like a wave. This was the woman who had been there during one of the most important moments of her life. Sarah had been the calm, steady presence in the delivery room, the one who had guided her through those final crucial hours before Charlotte arrived. "Sarah," Kate's face lit up with genuine joy. "Please sit down. I remember you so well." Sarah hesitated for a moment, glancing around the coffee shop. "Are you sure? I don't want to intrude on your private time." "Please," Kate insisted, gesturing to the empty chair across from her. "I was just thinking about the children, and here you are. It feels like fate." Sarah settled into the chair, still somewhat overwhelmed by the unexpected encounter. She had often wondered about the royal children she had helped bring into the world, but never imagined she would have such a casual meeting with their mother. "How are you?" Kate asked warmly. "Are you still working at St. Mary's?" "I am," Sarah replied, her professional composure gradually giving way to the same warmth she had shown during Charlotte's birth. 28 years now. I've delivered thousands of babies, but I must admit, some are more memorable than others." Kate laughed softly. "I imagine royal births don't happen every day." "No, they certainly don't. But, what I remember most isn't the protocol or the security or even a media circus outside. It's how natural you were, how focused on just being a mother in that moment." The comment touched Kate deeply. The birth of her children had been intensely personal experiences, yet they had taken place under such public scrutiny. To hear that her humanity had shone through the royal formality meant more than Sarah could know. Those were such special moments, Kate reflected. All three births were different, but Charlotte's, there was something particularly magical about that day. Sarah nodded knowingly. "Second babies often are. You were more relaxed, more confident. And when she arrived, the way you looked at her." Sarah paused, her eyes misting slightly. "In my job, you see a lot of emotions, but the love in that room was extraordinary." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both lost in the memory of that May morning years ago. The coffee shop buzzed around them, but their corner felt like a private sanctuary where two women could share thoughts about motherhood and life. "Tell me," Kate said, leaning forward slightly, "what's it like, being there for so many families during such important moments?" Sarah's face brightened. This was clearly a passion she rarely got to discuss in such depth. "It's the greatest privilege imaginable. Every birth is a miracle, truly. I've been there for teenagers having their first babies, women in their 40s finally, becoming mothers, families who've struggled for years to conceive. Each story is unique and precious." "Do you remember all of them?" Kate asked, genuinely curious. "Not all the details, but I remember something special about each one. With your Charlotte, it was the way the whole room seemed to hold its breath when she was born, then erupted in the most joyful celebration. And the way Prince William looked at both of you. I've never seen a man more in love with his family. Kate felt her heart warm at the memory. William had been so nervous before Charlotte's birth, worried about having a daughter in the public eye. But the moment Charlotte arrived, all those fears had melted away. He was quite emotional that day, Kate admitted, more than he'll ever publicly acknowledge. The best fathers usually are, Sarah said with a knowing smile. I can always tell which men are going to be wonderful dads by how they react in the delivery room. Prince William was completely devoted from the first second. As they talked, Kate found herself relaxing in a way she rarely could in public settings. There was something about Sarah's presence that felt safe and authentic. Perhaps it was because she had shared such an intimate moment with Kate's family, or perhaps it was simply her natural warmth and professionalism. I have to ask, Kate said, lowering her voice slightly, what was it like dealing with all the security and protocol? It must have been quite different from your usual deliveries. Sarah chuckled. Oh, it was certainly an experience. The security briefings, the code names, the special procedures. But you know what? Once we were in that delivery room, all of that faded into the background. A birth is a birth, and a mother is a mother, royal or not. That's exactly how I wanted it to feel, Kate said gratefully. Normal, natural, just a family welcoming a baby. And that's exactly what it was, Sarah assured her. Yes, there were cameras outside and protocols to follow, but inside that room, you were just Kate and William becoming parents to a little girl named Charlotte. The rain outside had intensified, creating a cozy atmosphere in the warm coffee shop. Other customers came and went, but none seemed to notice the extraordinary conversation taking place in the corner. How is Princess Charlotte doing? Sarah asked softly. I often wonder about the children I've helped deliver. Kate's smile was radiant with maternal pride. She's wonderful, so confident and spirited. She definitely knows her own mind and isn't afraid to express it. She keeps her brothers in line, that's for sure. I could tell she was going to be a force to be reckoned with, Sarah said with delight. Even as a newborn, she had this alert, determined look about her. You could see that immediately. Oh yes, after nearly 3 decades of this work, you develop an instinct about babies' personalities. Charlotte had this quality, like she was taking everything in, ready to take on the world. They continued talking as the afternoon progressed, sharing stories about children, family life, and the unique challenges and joys that each of their roles brought. Kate found herself opening up in ways she rarely could with others, while Sarah shared insights from her years of helping families through one of life's most profound experiences. As their conversation deepened, Sarah glanced at her watch and realized she had been talking with Kate for over an hour. The coffee shop had grown quieter as the afternoon crowd thinned out, and the rain continued its steady rhythm against the windows. I should probably let you get back to your day, Sarah said reluctantly, though she was clearly enjoying their unexpected reunion. Please don't feel you need to rush off, Kate replied sincerely. This has been such a lovely surprise. I don't often get the chance to have such genuine conversations. Sarah studied Kate's face, noting the slight weariness around her eyes that spoke of the constant demands of royal life. May I ask you something personal? She said gently. Kate nodded encouragingly. How do you manage it all? Being a mother, having such public responsibilities, maintaining any sense of normalcy for your children? Kate was quiet for a moment, stirring the remnants of her latte thoughtfully. Some days better than others, honestly. I think about that a lot. How to give George, Charlotte, and Louis as normal a childhood as possible while preparing them for the roles they may one day have. It must be incredibly challenging, Sarah observed. When I delivered Charlotte, I remember thinking about the extraordinary life she would lead, so different from other children I've helped bring into the world. That's what keeps me up at night sometimes, Kate admitted. With George, we know his path is largely predetermined. But Charlotte, she has more choices, yet still such scrutiny. I want her to feel free to be whoever she wants to be. Sarah leaned forward, her maternal instincts as strong with this conversation as they were in the delivery room. From what I've observed over the years, children thrive when they feel truly loved and supported. Everything else is just circumstances they adapt to. William and I talk about that constantly. We want them to understand their heritage and responsibilities, but also to know they're loved unconditionally, not for what they represent, but for who they are. I can see that love every time there are public photos of your family, Sarah said warmly. The way you all interact, the genuine affection, it's not something that can be faked. Kate smiled gratefully. We try to keep family time sacred. No phones during dinner, proper bedtime stories, family games. The simple things. Tell me about Charlotte specifically, Sarah requested. What is she like now? Kate's expression brightened immediately. She's 8 now, and absolutely fearless. Last week, she convinced George to help her build this elaborate obstacle course in the garden. She had it all planned out, complete with time trials and prizes. Poor Lewis could barely keep up. That sounds like the determined little spirit I met on her birthday, Sarah laughed. She definitely inherited William's competitive streak, but she has this nurturing side too. When Lewis gets upset, she's always the first to comfort him. And with George, she's protective of him in public situations while keeping him humble at home. Siblings are such a gift, Sarah mused. In my work, I see a lot of only children, and while they're wonderful, there's something special about the bond between brothers and sisters. I couldn't agree more. I was so worried about how George would adjust to having siblings, being used to so much attention. But watching the three of them together, they're each other's best friends and strongest allies. Sarah's eyes sparkled with professional interest. Was Charlotte's birth very different from George's? Completely different, Kate replied. With George, everything was so new and overwhelming. The pressure, the media attention, my own nerves about becoming a mother in such a public way. But with Charlotte, I felt more confident, more present in the moment. I could sense that, Sarah said. You seemed calmer, more trusting of the process. I think I had learned that despite all the extraordinary circumstances, childbirth is still the most natural thing in the world. Your team made me feel so safe and supported. That's our job, but also our honor, Sarah replied. Every woman deserves to feel empowered during birth, regardless of who she is or what's waiting outside those hospital doors. They were interrupted briefly when a young mother with a crying baby entered the coffee shop, looking frazzled as she tried to manage a pushchair while ordering a drink. Without hesitation, both Kate and Sarah turned their attention to the struggling woman. Would you like me to hold her while you order? Kate offered quietly, standing up. The young mother looked up, startled, not immediately recognizing Kate, but sensing her genuine offer to help. Oh, that's very kind, but I don't want to impose. No imposition at all, Kate said gently, already reaching for the fussy baby. I have 3 of my own. I know how overwhelming it can be. As Kate expertly soothed the baby, Sarah watched with admiration. Here was a woman who could command international attention, yet was equally comfortable helping a stranger in a coffee shop. You're a natural, the young mother said gratefully as she collected her order. Thank you so much. After they left, Sarah shook her head in amazement. You know, in all my years working with new parents, I've learned that the best mothers are the ones who never stop learning, never stop caring about other families too. Motherhood is such a universal experience, Kate reflected, settling back into her chair. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. We all worry about the same things, celebrate the same milestones. That's beautifully said, Sarah agreed. I've delivered babies for duchesses and shop clerks, celebrities, and students. At the end of the day, every woman just wants a healthy baby and to know she could be a good mother. Did you always want to be a midwife? Kate asked, curious about Sarah's own journey. Actually, no, Sarah admitted with a chuckle. I started in general nursing, but after my sister had a difficult birth experience, I realized how crucial good midwifery care could be. I wanted to be the person who could make that experience better for other women. What made her birth difficult? Poor communication, mostly. She felt ignored and frightened. When I became a midwife, I promised myself that every woman in my care would feel heard, respected, and supported. That's exactly how I felt with you, Kate said earnestly. Even with all the chaos around Charlotte's birth, you made me feel like I was your only patient. Because in that moment, you were, Sarah replied simply. That's how it should always be. Kate found herself thinking about the broader implications of their conversation. This makes me think about the maternal health work I've been doing. Hearing your perspective reinforces how important it is that every woman has access to compassionate, skilled care. Your advocacy work has made such a difference, Sarah said admiringly. We've seen improvements in resources and training, partly because you've helped bring attention to these issues. I feel passionate about it because I've experienced both sides, the privilege of exceptional care, but also the universal emotions and needs that every mother has. That authenticity shows, Sarah observed. When you speak about early childhood development or maternal mental health, people can tell it comes from genuine experience, not just royal duty. Their conversation was creating an unexpected intimacy. Two women from different worlds finding common ground in their shared understanding of motherhood's complexities and joys. Can I tell you something? Kate said, lowering her voice. Sometimes I feel guilty about the level of care and support I had during my pregnancies and births. Not every woman has access to the best hospitals, the top specialists. That's not something to feel guilty about, Sarah interrupted gently. Use that privilege responsibly, which you're already doing. Your platform allows you to advocate for better care for all mothers. That's what I try to tell myself, Kate said. But meeting you today, hearing about your work with so many different families, it reminds me how much work there's still to be done. There always will be, Sarah agreed. But change happens one conversation, one policy, one birth at a time. You're contributing to that change in ways that most people never could. As the afternoon light began to fade, Sarah pulled out her phone to show Kate some pictures from a recent charity event at the hospital. We had a wonderful celebration last month for our NICU graduates, babies who were born prematurely but are now thriving toddlers and children. Kate leaned in to look at the photos, her heart warming at the sight of healthy, happy children playing with their families. This is incredible. How premature were some of these babies when they were born? Some as early as 24 weeks, Sarah explained, swiping through images of children laughing and running around. This little girl here, she pointed to a curly-haired toddler, weighed just over 1 pound when she was born. Now look at her. It's miraculous, Kate said softly. The parents must have been terrified. They were. But you know what kept them going? The same thing that keeps all parents going, unconditional love and hope. It doesn't matter if your baby is born at 24 weeks or 40 weeks in a poverty or privilege. That love is universal. Kate studied the photos more closely, noting how the families looked at each other with such joy and gratitude. These families have been through something most people can't imagine. They have. And yet, watching them now, you'd never know the struggles they faced. Children are incredibly resilient when they're surrounded by love and support. This observation sparked something in Kate's mind. That's what I hope for Charlotte and all children, really. That they develop that resilience and know their love for who they are, not what's expected of them. Tell me more about Charlotte's personality now, Sarah encouraged. What makes her uniquely herself? Kate's expression grew tender as she thought about her daughter. She's incredibly empathetic. Last month, she noticed that one of the palace staff members seemed sad. Without being asked, she drew him a picture and wrote him a little note. She can't even spell all the words correctly yet, but her instinct to comfort others is remarkable. That's a beautiful quality, Sarah observed. What do you think that comes from? I think children naturally want to help when they see someone hurting. We try to encourage that instinct rather than teach it out of them in favor of being proper or polite. That's wise parenting, Sarah said approvingly. I've noticed that children who are allowed to express genuine emotion and compassion tend to be more emotionally healthy overall. Kate nodded thoughtfully. Sometimes the royal protocol conflicts with what feels natural as a parent. We're teaching the children when formal behavior is appropriate, but also when it's okay to just be kids. That must be a delicate balance. It is. Just last week, We attended a formal event where Charlotte was supposed to curtsy and speak only when spoken to. But she saw an elderly gentleman struggling with his walking stick, and without thinking, she went over to help him. Technically, she broke protocol, but William and I were so proud of her instinct to help. Sarah smiled widely. That tells you everything about who she is at her core. Rules and protocol can be learned, but kindness and empathy, those come from within. That's exactly what I told William afterward. We want our children to understand their responsibilities, but never at the expense of their humanity. Their conversation was interrupted when Sarah's phone buzzed with a text message. She glanced at it, and her expression shifted slightly. "Everything all right?" Kate asked, noticing the change. "Yes, just this is quite a coincidence, actually. That text was from a colleague at the hospital. There's a young woman in labor right now, and she's having some complications. Nothing serious," Sarah quickly assured Kate, "but she's very scared and asking for me specifically." Kate immediately understood. "You need to go. Please, don't let me keep you from your work." "I hate to end our conversation," Sarah said, genuinely torn. "This has been such an unexpected joy." "For me as well," Kate replied warmly. "But that woman needs you right now." That's exactly the kind of care and dedication I was talking about. As Sarah gathered her things, Kate had a sudden thought. "Sarah, would you mind if I asked you something?" "Of course. When you're helping women through labor and delivery, what do you tell them when they're scared or overwhelmed?" Sarah paused, considering the question carefully. "I tell them that fear is natural, but they're stronger than they know. I remind them that millions of women before them have walked this path, and that their body was designed for this moment. But most importantly, I tell them that they're not alone, that they have people who believe in them completely." Kate felt tears prick her eyes. That's exactly what I needed to hear during Charlotte's birth. And it's what I try to tell myself during difficult moments in parenting or in my royal duties. "We all need those reminders sometimes," Sarah said gently. "Even confident, capable women like yourself." "Thank you for saying that. Sometimes it's hard to remember that struggling doesn't mean failing." "It means you're human," Sarah corrected. "And being human is what makes you a good mother and a good princess." As they stood to leave, Kate realized she didn't want this encounter to be their last interaction. "Sarah, I hope this isn't presumptuous, but would you be interested in visiting us sometime? I know Charlotte would love to meet the woman who helped bring her into the world." Sarah's face lit up with surprise and delight. "Really? You would want that?" "Very much. Charlotte is old enough now to understand and appreciate meeting you. And honestly, I'd love for her to meet someone who represents such strength and compassion." "I would be honored," Sarah replied, her voice thick with emotion. They exchanged contact information, both aware that this simple encounter had grown into something meaningful and lasting. As they prepared to leave the coffee shop, Kate turned to Sarah one more time. "Can I tell you what I'll remember most about today?" Kate asked. "Please do. The way you talked about every baby, every family, with such genuine care. It reminded me that regardless of our different circumstances, we're all just people trying to do our best for the ones we love." Sarah squeezed Kate's hand gently. "And you reminded me that titles and positions don't change the fundamental experience of being a mother. Thank you for being so real, so genuine." As they stepped out into the rain, Kate's bodyguards discreetly moved closer, ready to escort her back to the palace. But for just a moment longer, she stood with Sarah under the coffee shop's awning, two mothers who had shared something precious. "Good luck with your patient today," Kate said sincerely. "She's fortunate to have you." "Thank you. And give my regards to Princess Charlotte when you see her. Tell her that the lady who helped her arrive in this world thinks she's doing wonderfully." Kate smiled brightly. "I will. She'll be thrilled to know we met." As they went their separate ways, Kate toward her waiting car, and Sarah toward the hospital where another family awaited her care. Both women felt enriched by their unexpected encounter. Sometimes the most meaningful conversations happen in the most ordinary places, between two people who discover they have more in common than they ever imagined. The rain continued to fall over London, but somehow it felt less cold, less isolating. In a world that often emphasizes differences and divisions, they had found connection in the universal experiences of motherhood, compassion, and the desire to care for others. Kate settled in her car, already planning how she would share this story with William and thinking about how Charlotte would react to learning about Sarah. Meanwhile, Sarah hurried through the rain toward the hospital, carrying with her a renewed sense of purpose and the warmth of an unexpected friendship. Neither woman could have predicted when they woke up that morning that a simple coffee shop encounter would become such a meaningful moment in both their lives. That evening, Kate returned to Kensington Palace with a sense of lightness she hadn't felt in weeks. The formal dinner she had been dreading seemed less daunting after her afternoon of genuine conversation. As she entered the family quarters, she could hear the familiar sounds of her children finishing their homework and preparing for dinner. "Mummy," Louis called out, running toward her with his arms outstretched. "Where were you? George said you went to drink coffee without us." Kate scooped up her youngest son, laughing at his indignant expression. "I did have coffee, but only because you were all at school being very studious." Charlotte appeared from the playroom, her school uniform slightly disheveled and her hair escaping from its ponytail. "Did you meet anyone interesting?" she asked with a curious nature that reminded Kate so much of herself at that age. "Actually, yes," Kate replied, setting Louis down and giving Charlotte a meaningful look. "I met someone very special who knows you quite well." Charlotte's eyebrows rose with interest. "Someone who knows me? But I wasn't there." "Well, she met you when you were very, very small. In fact, she was one of the first people to meet you." George joined them in the hallway, having overheard the conversation. "Who was it, Mom?" Kate gathered her 3 children around her, settling onto the comfortable sofa in their private sitting room. "Her name is Sarah, and she's a midwife at the hospital where Charlotte was born. She was there to help when Charlotte came into the world." Charlotte's eyes widened with fascination. "She was really there? When I was born?" "She was," Kate confirmed warmly. "She helped take care of both of us during those first important hours. She was so kind and gentle, and she told me today that she could already tell you were going to be a very special little girl." "What did she say about me?" Charlotte asked eagerly, settling closer to her mother. "She said that even as a tiny baby, you had this alert, determined look about you. She could tell you were going to be someone who knew her own mind and wasn't afraid to speak up." George grinned at his sister. "That sounds like Charlotte. All right. Did she say anything about me?" Louis asked hopefully. "Was she there when I was born too?" "No, sweetheart. Different people helped when you were born," Kate explained. "But I told Sarah all about you, and she said she would love to meet all 3 of you someday." "Can we meet her?" Charlotte asked immediately. "I want to thank her for helping me be born." Kate's heart swelled at her daughter's instinctive gratitude. "Would you like that? I invited her to visit us, and she seemed very excited about the idea." "Yes." All 3 children responded enthusiastically. William appeared in the doorway, having just returned from his own engagements. "What's all this excitement about?" he asked, loosening his tie as he joined his family on the sofa. "Mummy met the lady who helped Charlotte be born," Louis announced importantly. William's expression shifted to surprise and interest. "Really? That's quite a coincidence. How did that happen?" Kate recounted the afternoon's events, while William listened with growing amazement. She described Sarah's warmth, their meaningful conversation, and the unexpected connection they had formed. "She sounds wonderful," William said when Kate finished. "It will be lovely to see her again and thank her properly. Can we invite her for tea?" Charlotte asked. "I want to show her my room and my drawings." "I think that's a perfect idea," Kate replied. "We could have a proper afternoon tea in the garden if the weather's nice." Over dinner, the conversation continued to revolve around Sarah and the children's excitement about meeting her. Kate found herself sharing stories about each of their births, tailored appropriately for young ears, and the children listened with rapt attention. "Were you scared when we were born?" George asked seriously. Kate considered the question carefully. "A little nervous. Yes, especially with you, since you were the first. But mostly excited. And Having wonderful people like Sarah there made me feel safe and cared for. I'm going to draw her a picture, Charlotte declared, to thank her for helping me. That's a lovely idea, darling, William said. What will you draw? Charlotte thought for a moment. Maybe a picture of our whole family, so she can see how happy we all are. Later that evening, after the children were in bed, Kate and William sat together in their private study, discussing the day's events. It really was the most extraordinary coincidence, Kate reflected. Of all the coffee shops in London, on the one afternoon, I decided to slip away for some quiet time. It sounds like it was exactly what you needed, William observed. You seem more relaxed than you have in weeks. There was something so refreshing about having a genuine conversation with someone who knew me in such a specific context. She remembered Charlotte's birth so clearly, and hearing her perspective on that day was really moving. What struck you most about what she said? Kate was quiet for a moment, gathering her thoughts. The way she talked about every family with such respect and care. It didn't matter to her that we were royal in that delivery room. We were just parents welcoming a baby. But she also made me realize how we can use our position to advocate for better care for all families. You've been doing that already with your early childhood work, William pointed out. I know, but meeting Sarah today made me want to do more. She mentioned the NICU graduate celebration, and seeing those photos of families who face such challenges, it reminded me how fortunate we've been. William reached for her hand. What are you thinking? I'd like to visit the hospital where Charlotte was born, maybe meet some of the current staff, hear about what they need. Not as a formal royal visit with all the fanfare, but as someone who genuinely cares about the work they're doing. That sounds perfect, William agreed. Very much in line with your approach to everything. Authentic and meaningful rather than just ceremonial. Sarah mentioned that resources and training have improved partly because of the attention my advocacy work has brought to these issues. I want to make sure that continues. They discussed logistics and possibilities for a while before Kate's phone chimed with a text message. It was from Sarah, sent from the hospital. Healthy baby girl born safely tonight. Your conversation today reminded me why I love this work so much. Thank you for such a lovely afternoon. Looking forward to meeting the children soon. Kate showed the message to William, and they both smiled at Sarah's thoughtfulness in updating her despite her busy evening. She's still thinking of you even while helping another family, William noted. That says a lot about her character. It really does. I think the children are going to love her. Over the following days, Kate found herself thinking frequently about her conversation with Sarah. She began researching maternal health initiatives more thoroughly, reaching out to other hospitals and organizations to better understand current challenges and opportunities. Charlotte, true to her word, spent considerable time working on a drawing for Sarah. It featured their entire family standing in front of Kensington Palace, complete with the dogs and even a rainbow in the sky. She worked on it carefully each evening, adding details and making sure everyone looked happy. Do you think Sarah will like it? Charlotte asked Kate one evening as she added finishing touches to the drawing. I think she'll love it, Kate assured her daughter. But more than that, I think she'll love meeting the wonderful girl you've become. Will she tell me more about when I was born? Charlotte inquired. I want to know everything. I'm sure she'd be happy to share appropriate stories, Kate replied. She has such a good memory for special moments like that. George, not to be outdone by his sister, decided he wanted to prepare something for Sarah's visit as well. He chose to write a thank you letter, practicing his best handwriting and asking Kate to help him spell more difficult words. Dear Mrs. Sarah, his letter began, thank you for helping my sister Charlotte be born safely. She's a very good sister most of the time, and I am glad you were there to make sure everything went well. I hope you can come have tea with us soon. From George. Even Lewis, despite being too young to fully understand the significance, was excited about having a special visitor. He announced that he would show Sarah his favorite toys and maybe teach her to play his favorite games. Kate was touched by all three children's enthusiasm and their instinctive understanding that Sarah deserved their gratitude and respect. It reinforced her belief that empathy and appreciation were qualities worth nurturing in her children, regardless of their royal status. A week after their coffee shop encounter, Kate called Sarah to arrange the promised visit. They settled on the following Saturday afternoon for tea in the family's private garden at Kensington Palace. "Are you sure this isn't too much trouble?" Sarah asked during their phone conversation. "Not at all," Kate assured her. "The children have been talking about nothing else. Charlotte has prepared a special drawing for you. George has written you a letter, and Louis is planning to show you his entire toy collection." Sarah laughed warmly. "They sound wonderful. I can't wait to see how they've grown and developed. I should warn you, they have lots of questions about Charlotte's birth. I've told them you'll share age-appropriate stories. Of course, I love talking with children about new babies and how families grow. It's one of my favorite parts of follow-up visits with families." As Saturday approached, the anticipation in the household grew. Kate found herself looking forward to the visit as much as the children, eager to see Sarah again and to share this meaningful connection with her family. Saturday arrived with perfect autumn weather, crisp air, and golden sunlight filtering through the trees in Kensington Palace Gardens. Kate had chosen to host Sarah's visit in the family's private garden area, where they could enjoy the afternoon without the formality of the staterooms. The children had been up early, helping to arrange the outdoor furniture and ensuring everything looked perfect for their special guest. Charlotte had changed her clothes twice, wanting to look nice for the woman who had helped her arrive in the world. "Is this what Sarah will remember me looking like when I was born?" Charlotte asked Kate as they waited by the garden entrance. Kate laughed gently. "Well, you were much smaller then, and you didn't have such beautiful long hair. But I think she'll see the same bright, curious eyes." When Sarah arrived, escorted by security through the private entrance, Kate was struck once again by her warm, unassuming presence. Sarah wore a simple blue dress and carried a small bag, looking slightly nervous but excited. "Sarah," Kate greeted her with genuine warmth, embracing her like an old friend rather than maintaining royal protocol. "Your Royal Highness," Sarah began, but Kate immediately interrupted. "Please, just Kate. We're all family here today." The children had lined up somewhat formally, but their excitement was barely contained. William stepped forward to greet Sarah, and Kate could see the immediate recognition and gratitude in his expression. "Sarah, it's wonderful to see you again," William said warmly. "Kate told me about your lovely conversation, and we can't thank you enough for everything you did for our family." "It was my honor," Sarah replied sincerely. "And look at these beautiful children." Charlotte stepped forward first, holding her carefully prepared drawing. "Mrs. Sarah, I made this for you to say thank you for helping me be born." Sarah knelt down to Charlotte's level, accepting the drawing with reverent care. "Charlotte, this is absolutely beautiful. Look at this wonderful family portrait. You're quite the artist." "That's our house," Charlotte explained, pointing to her drawing of Kensington Palace. "And those are dogs, Orla. And there's a rainbow, because rainbows are happy." "Rainbows are very happy," Sarah agreed, studying every detail of the drawing. "I can see how much love is in your family, just from looking at this picture." George approached next, holding his carefully written letter. "I wrote this for you," he said with 8-year-old solemnity. Sarah read George's letter aloud, her voice growing emotional as she reached his heartfelt thanks. "George, this is one of the most thoughtful letters I've ever received. Thank you for taking the time to write it so beautifully." Louis, not to be left out, tugged on Sarah's dress. "I want to show you my cars," he announced. "They're really fast." "I would love to see your cars, Louis," Sarah laughed. "But first, should we have some tea?" They settled around the outdoor table that had been set with a proper afternoon tea service. Kate poured tea while William helped serve sandwiches and pastries. The atmosphere was relaxed and familial, with none of the stiffness that often accompanied formal palace visits. "Sarah," Charlotte said importantly, "Mummy told us you were there when I was born, but I want to know everything. What was I like as a baby?" Sarah glanced at Kate, who nodded encouragingly. "Well, you were absolutely beautiful, Charlotte. You had the most alert eyes I'd ever seen on a newborn. It was like you were taking in everything around you, trying to understand this new world you'd entered. Was I crying a lot? Charlotte asked. You cried a normal amount, Sarah replied diplomatically. But what I remember most is how quickly you settled down when your mummy and daddy held you. You knew immediately that you were safe and loved. What did mummy and daddy do when they first saw me? Charlotte continued her interrogation. Sarah's eyes sparkled with the memory. Your mummy cried happy tears, and your daddy's face lit up like Christmas morning. He said hello, beautiful girl, the moment he saw you. William smiled at the memory. I remember that. You were perfect, Charlotte. Did I do anything special? Charlotte persisted. Actually, yes, Sarah said thoughtfully. After all the excitement of being born, you opened your eyes and looked right at your mummy. It was like you were saying, "Oh, there you are. I've been waiting to meet you." Kate felt tears prick her eyes at this detail she hadn't remembered. Really, Sarah confirmed. It was one of those magical moments that remind me why I love my job so much. George, who had been listening intently, asked, "What's it like helping babies be born? Is it scary?" Sometimes there can be challenging moments, Sarah answered honestly. But mostly it's the most wonderful experience imaginable. Every birth is a miracle, and I get to be part of bringing new life into the world. How many babies have you helped? Lewis asked, his 5-year-old curiosity fully engaged. Oh, thousands and thousands, Sarah replied. I've been a midwife for almost 30 years. Do you remember all of them? Charlotte wanted to know. I remember something special about each one, Sarah said. Some babies are born singing. Some come out looking around curiously like you did, Charlotte. Some are born sleeping peacefully, and some arrive ready to take on the world immediately. Which kind was I? Lewis asked. Lewis, you were born at a different hospital with different midwives, Kate explained. But I can tell you that you came into the world laughing. The doctor said he'd never seen anything like it. The children were delighted by these stories about their arrivals, and Sarah proved to be a masterful storyteller, sharing general wisdom about babies while making each child feel special and important. As the afternoon progressed, their conversation naturally evolved beyond birth stories. Sarah asked the children about school, their interests, and their favorite activities. She was genuinely interested in their answers, asking follow-up questions and responding with the same attention she gave to worried parents in the hospital. Charlotte, Sarah said at one point, your mummy told me you like to help others when they're sad or hurt. That's a very special quality. Charlotte nodded seriously. Mummy says it's important to notice when people need help. Your mummy is absolutely right. The world needs more people who pay attention to others' feelings. Kate watched this interaction with deep satisfaction. Sarah's natural way with children, combined with her genuine care for others, was providing exactly the kind of positive role model she hoped to give her children. Sarah, George said thoughtfully, do you ever worry about the babies you help? Like after they go home? I do think about them, Sarah admitted. I often wonder how they're doing, what they're learning, whether they're happy and healthy. It makes my heart glad to see how well you three have grown. Maybe you could visit us again sometime, Charlotte suggested hopefully, so you can keep checking on how I'm doing. I would love that, Sarah replied warmly. If your parents don't mind having me back. You're always welcome here, Kate said immediately. Today has been wonderful, and I can see how much the children have enjoyed meeting you. As the afternoon wound down, Lewis fulfilled his promise to show Sarah his extensive toy car collection. She dutifully admired each vehicle, asked about their special features, and even played several races across the garden terrace. When it came time for Sarah to leave, each child gave her a heartfelt goodbye hug. Charlotte pressed an additional small drawing into Sarah's hands, a simple picture of two women having coffee with hearts floating above their heads. This is you and Mummy at the coffee shop, Charlotte explained, because that's where the magic happened. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. You're absolutely right, Charlotte. That's exactly where the magic happened. As William and Kate walked Sarah to her car, she turned to them with profound gratitude. Thank you for today. This has been more meaningful to me than you could possibly know. Thank you for everything you've given our family, Kate replied. Not just the professional care during Charlotte's birth, but the reminder of what really matters: genuine human connection and compassion. Will you keep in touch? William asked. We'd love to hear about your work and perhaps find ways to support the hospital. I'd be honored, Sarah said. And please, let me know how the children are doing as they grow. Today has reminded me that the families I help don't just disappear. They continue growing and thriving, and that makes all the difficult days worthwhile. After Sarah left, the family gathered in the garden as the sun began to set. The children were still buzzing with excitement about their afternoon, recounting their favorite moments and asking when Sarah could visit again. Mummy, Charlotte said as they headed inside for dinner, I'm glad you met Sarah in that coffee shop. Why is that, sweetheart? Kate asked. Because now I know that even before I could talk or walk or do anything, there were people who cared about me and wanted me to be safe. That makes me feel really good inside. Kate's heart swelled with love for her thoughtful daughter. That's exactly right, Charlotte. And Sarah is still one of those people who cares about you and wants good things for you. Like family, Charlotte concluded with satisfaction. Like family, Kate agreed. That evening, as Kate tucked Charlotte into bed, her daughter had one more question. Mummy, when Sarah helped me be born, did she know I would become a princess? Kate considered the question carefully. She knew you would become Charlotte, and that was the most important thing of all. Charlotte nodded contentedly. I think being Charlotte is better than being a princess anyway. Why do you think that? Kate asked curiously. Because Sarah helped Charlotte be born, not a princess. And Charlotte is who I really am inside. Kate kissed her daughter goodnight, marveling once again at the wisdom that children possessed when adults took the time to listen. Sarah's visit had given Charlotte not just a connection to her birth story, but a deeper understanding of her own identity beyond royal titles. Later, as Kate reflected on the day, she realized that what had begun as a chance encounter in a coffee shop had become something much more significant. Sarah had reminded their entire family of the fundamental human experiences that connected them to others: birth, love, care, and the simple joy of genuine relationships. The drawing Charlotte had given Sarah, two women having coffee with hearts above their heads, captured perfectly what had happened. In a world often divided by protocol, status, and formality, they had found magic in the simplest of meetings between two mothers who understood that love, in all its forms, was what truly mattered. Kate fell asleep that night, grateful for rainy afternoons, chance encounters, and the remarkable people like Sarah who dedicate their lives to caring for others. Sometimes the most extraordinary stories grew from the most ordinary moments, and sometimes the people who helped shape your family became part of it forever.